Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. Users of Reddit, what is the worst thing your teacher has ever said in front of a class? I had an art teacher that got caught drinking. Apparently someone from the previous period told on her. The vice principal came into our class and told her to come with him. We all heard her yell, "They drove me to drink," from the hallway. One of the art teachers at my high school openly talked about drinking in class and dared the administration to fire him. I'm not here because I need the money, I'm here because I enjoy it. This is how I keep enjoying it. Sounds like if Hemingway was a teacher. 7th grade math teacher heard some 9th graders saying that he probably never gets any. Proceeded to explain to his 7th class that he fucks his 10 years younger wife a lot and that they are in an open polyamorous relationship. He should have just told them that he is in a polynomial relationship with his wife, and that would have shut them up. Ah yes, polynomial. It takes a special type of personality to teach grade 7 and 8. All my ed teachers said you've got to be as crazy as they are to teach junior high. The morning after parents' night, boy in the class was talking over the lesson for the 100th time that term, and the teacher says, "Johnny, this is exactly what I was saying to your mom last night." The class burst into laughter, the teacher went red at the implication, and Johnny didn't talk over the lesson anymore. Sounds like my computing teacher. Bio teacher was talking to us about sex, and a girl asked where the pleasure points are. Girl's a bit ballsy, but the teacher did hesitate to answer. She said that the female only feels pleasure 2 inches into the vagina, then looked at me and said, "So, Mo, you're a 2 inches in the clear, bud." The difference between my teacher and yours is that mine meant what she was saying. How does it feel to be dead? Worst thing and also best thing. History class. Kid punches the kid in front of him in the back of the head. Teacher sees this and says, "Now he's gonna punch you in the head and you're all gonna sit there and watch because there's nothing you can do about it." A punch for a punch leaves the whole world concussed. Seems reasonable, let's get started. New year, new teacher, and his introduction was, "If you are loud I will hit you with the chalk." We all thought it was very funny, but the next day we learned what doom was because he never missed. Do chalks hurt? They do if you get hit in the eye. Old guy history teacher told a student in my class to go home and slit his fat wrists. Edit. This same teacher would also state after the last class of the day, "Well, time to go home and beat the wife." He also once fired a gun in class, although it was only an antique blunderbuss, the dude still fired a weapon in class. Man, old teachers can be the worst. We had an old German substitute teacher at my high school. Like so old it looked like he could collapse at any given time. He told us about how he used to be a Nazi back in World War II. I guess this is also the time to mention that my school was predominantly white. We had maybe 20 black students total. The sub had asked one of these students to bring him a stapler or something like that, which the student brought him. His response, which got him fired immediately, was something like, "Wow, I didn't expect one of your kind to be helpful. A lot of you people are like monkeys." Pretty sure the only reason that student didn't punch him in the face is because the teacher would have crumbled. Edit. Just to clarify, this was in the US. He was teaching a world history course. He had immigrated to the US from Germany at some point. He didn't specify if he was actually in the Nazi party or a sympathizer. Oh my God. He told our whole English class quite seriously that for his 30th birthday he wanted 2 15-year-old girls to sit on his lap, and he even named them. I don't know what he was telling us for, maybe he thought we would pressure them into doing it or something. Jesus Christ, what a fucking predator. What happened then? Did the girls tell their parents or something? She read out my name and looks at me and says, "Your parents named you this. Are you willing to say your name?" "It's Elashma." Not in my class, but one of my professors once said, "You look like you enjoy riding a bicycle without the saddle." Edit. Wow, this exploded. Just to clarify, it was said to a girl. So, yeah, it was that inappropriate. In college, BTW. It's called a trials bike, old man. All the cool kids ride them. During English class we were watching Tomorrow When the War Began. Those of you who have seen the movie know they start the movie talking about sex. The teacher goes, sex is not that great, I have actually not had sex. He's a full 30-year-old man and says that to a bunch of 13 to 14-year-olds. Those were the days. Was your English teacher Coach Steve? He just wants to make thick in your warm. During 1 year of high school in a bio class, the students were fooling around in class not doing their work and the young, had to be in her late 2020s, professor yelled, "You all stop jerking off." Then turned red as she realized what she had just said. You can only imagine how that went in a room full of 16 to 17-year-olds. Lol. Ah yeah, that would have been amazing to see, probably one of the funniest things that could happen in a classroom. Yeah. I had a Spanish teacher who was either extremely inappropriate or extremely oblivious. With him, it is legitimately hard to tell, he may actually not have known. He was talking about how you make flan one day and how you take the ingredients, mix them together, then you beat it along with a hand motion. The boys in class thought this was hilarious, so they would continually ask him how to make flan, so he would tell them. Honestly, he could have just been completely oblivious and was thinking, hey, the students are smiling, cool, I'm a good teacher. My family had had to deal with his teaching for decades, so we know he never learned a thing about students. At the start of class our teacher just sat in silence for 5 minutes, we waited for him to begin. He then said, "You have just wasted 5 minutes of your life. You will never get that time back." A bit harsh on a class of 9-year-olds. You stayed quiet in class like children are trained to do, and berated for not doing. Like seriously, what was the plan? What was the perfect goal? The children mutiny because class didn't start on time. Leave you marooned on a tiny desert island with nothing but a pistol and a single shot. I hate asshole holier than thou teachers. Especially with little kids. For sure. So many people are incredibly unqualified to be left alone with children. Arrogant and mean people that have no idea what type of damage they are doing, and they are with your children 8 hours a day. It's not good. I had a prof that had given us an in-class assignment. He was a shitty teacher and we were first-year students, so we didn't finish it, and he told us to take it home and finish it, and when we were done to bring to me. Bring it to Daddy. He was Greek and didn't know the context, but he was the head of the department, so we all held back our giggles and left. As a Greek, I can confirm that Daddy isn't used as a sexual term as usually as in English, because the Greek version is just cringe. Also, middle-aged Greek men use weird terms all the time. IMO. This wasn't the only odd thing he said. He was just an eccentric old dude on top of not knowing the lingo. Nice enough guy one-on-one, just weird in a classroom. My sister once had a teacher tell the class that they had to write a paper on a famous Egyptian. You know, like Socrates. My sister was given in school suspension for disrupting class with her laughter. She appealed it, and in the appeal meeting with our mom and the principal, the teacher insisted that Socrates was Egyptian. The suspension was cancelled, my sister didn't have to write the paper, and a fake that teacher is still working at the same school as a teacher. That's a teacher who isn't even trying. At least Google Socrates before submitting the ISS slip. And certainly come up with some explanation that doesn't sound crazy for the scheduled meeting. Sounds like she didn't even want to admit to herself that Socrates wasn't Egyptian. Bitch was in denial. In 4th grade I got in trouble for telling the teacher that molecules weren't the smallest kind of matter. She refused to believe in atoms and quarks. She laughed and said quarks are for bottles and atom is a person's name. 10-year-old me was so upset I couldn't remember the other things like electrons and protons, only the ones that sounded like other words. Strange. You have a charm. I can neither make up, down, top, nor bottom of it. Looked at a mentally handicapped girl and muttered retard just loud enough for a few people at the front to hear. Wow. People like this should be fired on the spot and shamed publicly. Edit, yes, a bit hyperbolic and keyjerk response. People below me are correct. Yeah, you like that, you fucking retard. One of my favorite stories. At least half of you will be dead by the time you reach 20 years old to a class of 11-year-olds. Edit, clarification. I once had a teacher, between 4th to 6th grade, not sure, say that about a quarter of us would die before the end of high school, statistically speaking. I've been lucky enough to not have any of my friends die, yet. Edit, I forgot to mention that the reason why I say yet is because I'm only in sophomore year of high school. Yet. Blows dust off piles of Acme plans. But it's not for lack of trying. A student handed in a blank sheet during a test. Teacher took it and said student's sheet is as much a virgin as every girl in this class. We were 30 to 14. He's done other stuff that made students uncomfortable, but we weren't taken seriously. And that's how one of the most prestigious teachers at my high school was able to get away with fucking his students. He was even married to a former student. But no one believed the girls who stepped forward. But don't worry, guys, he was put on paid leave and was later allowed to resign with his dignity intact and now teaches for a different school district. Edit. Everyone is asking me if this is their school, and so far, it hasn't been. So I guess people are just garbage everywhere. Edit. 2. This happened in New Mexico. Sorry. There really are garbage teachers fucking everywhere. Yikes. I hate how common that seems to be. That teacher also forbade girls from wearing scarves in his classroom, even during winter when our buildings didn't have the best heating. We suspect it wasn't really innocent either. Eventually our class, same group of people over 2 years, was given a new teacher due to our complaints, but the teacher himself never faced any consequences as far as I know. He was still teaching there when I was in high school. Good God, how is that the first analogy your mind goes to for a blank sheet of paper? Pedo.